Hello and welcome to this brand new episode of Newspresso with me, Nandita Khemka. In the next few minutes, we'll be talking about, we'll in fact be giving you a lowdown on all the stories from around the globe, insights from India, and also the latest trends, giving you an edge and keeping you informed ahead of others. So let's get straight to it and bring you all that we are getting from our global dispatch. Well, Wall Street ended higher with marginal gains last night, even though cooler than expected inflation data had the street surprised. The Dow added 52 points or thereabouts, while the Nasdaq gained somewhere around 0.12% or thereabouts. The S&P 500 ticked just about, extremely flat, ticked about 0.03%. Stock futures linked to these indices are also trading in the positive. Investors, however, will be keeping an eye out on more economic data. July's producer price index data will be out later today. But if you look at the weekly performance for the week, the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq are both bound for declines. And in fact, both are on pace for their second straight losing week. However, Dow is on track for a modest gain of somewhere around 0.3%. Inflation in the US rose in July to 3.2% after 12 straight months of declines. In fact, this was boosted by costlier housing mainly. But excluding volatile food and energy prices, so-called core inflation matched the smallest monthly increase in nearly 2 years. This, however, is up from a 3% annual rise in June, which was the lowest rate in more than 2 years. CPI data is among the key factors that will shape up the Fed's interest rate decision going forward. Well, let's now shift focus to European markets then. They ended higher as investors digested a fresh round of corporate earnings and the key US inflation print that was softer than expected. The Pan-European Stock 600 index ended the session up 0.8%, with household goods adding 2.2% to lead gains on the back of strong earnings. Mining stocks, meanwhile, slid somewhere around 1% or thereabouts. If you look at the Asian markets, they're trading mostly higher, given the fact that we are getting positive cues from Wall Street and European markets both. So today the Nikkei is shut on on account of Mountain Day, but Kospi is trading with gains, and the GIFT Nifty is, I think it has slid into the red after a positive start. So we will be watching out for how Nifty manages to open amid, subdued cues from the GIFT Nifty. Let's now shift focus to oil prices. Then they have eased on Thursday. In fact, the Brent has cooled off below that $87 mark, but it continues to hover around January highs. Speculation about another US interest rate hike has faded following the softer than expected inflation print. Meanwhile, OPEC in its monthly report yesterday said that it expects a healthy oil market for the rest of the year, and it stuck to its forecast of a robust oil demand going forward in 2024. Meanwhile, gold prices have ticked up after U.S. consumer prices increased moderately in July. Gold prices are on track to rally to an all-time high in 2024 on the back of tapering interest rates and looming recessionary fears that elevate its role as a safe haven asset. Well, now from the markets, let's move on to some other global news. In fact, wildfires in Hawaii have killed at least 36 people. Now, these fires were fanned by winds from a faraway hurricane. Multiple neighborhoods were burnt to the ground and only one highway was open. Thousands have been forced to evacuate their homes amid a state of emergency. In fact, officials said that the winds from Hurricane Dora, hundreds of miles to the southwest, had fanned the flames across the state. In fact, the businesses around Lahaina have been destroyed. Let's get you some insights from what is happening across, the domestic markets as well. On the Wall Street yesterday, the markets closed lower post the RBI policy announcement. In fact, the Nifty ended below that 19,600 mark, and it's the incremental CRR of 10% that spooked the banking stocks. And if you look at the Nifty Bank, that ended lower by about 1% or thereabouts. Barring the metals and energy sectors, all the other sectoral indices meanwhile ended in the red. But today, if you talk about the stocks to watch out for, Hero Moto will be one, given the fact that it has announced its first quarter numbers post market hours. Margin beat street expectations, so that's one stock that we'll be watching out for when it comes to domestic markets. ONGC and Nykaa are among some of the earnings to watch out for. On to some corporate news then. Air India Chairperson N Chandrasekaran unveiled a new logo, branding and plain livery for Air India as part of its multi-million-dollar transformation of the former state-run carrier. The airline's new logo includes a modern design with golden, red and purple colors. It will replace the old logo of a red swan and orange spokes inside the swan. Travellers will get to see the new logo starting December 2023 when Air India's first Airbus A350 enters the fleet in the new livery. Now, shifting focus to political developments in the country, then Prime Minister Modi addressed the Parliament yesterday. He was, responding to the no confidence motion against him. It was day 3 of confidence motion, where of the no confidence motion rather, where opposition and the BJP debated the issue. Finance Minister Sitharaman, in fact, Nirmala Sitharaman said that India is in a unique position and is confident about its economic growth. She made a sharp attack at opposition and said that the BJP is clearing the mess Congress has created in the banks. While TMC MP Mahua Moitra also spoke in the Parliament and said that the no confidence motion is to break the government's silence on the Manipur issue. Prime Minister Modi addressed the House yesterday and broke his silence over Manipur. He said the crimes against women in Manipur are unforgivable. The centre and state governments are trying their best to give the accused the harshest punishment. He also reassured that the peace will be restored in the Parliament as well as in Manipur.
हमारे रियल जीडीपी ग्रोथ 7.2 2022-23 में हुआ and it is projected to grow at 6.5% in 23-24. Rare position, sir, of being optimistic and positive for its future growth.
We haven't heard of one change in the police force. We have not heard of one change in the government. We have not heard of one person taking responsibility. As a government in the centre, which is also ruling the state of Manipur, this is your biggest failure of the double-engine Sarkar. Everyone asks, if not Modi ji, then who? This inaction on Manipur, Honorable Prime Minister, where you had absolute power to intervene but did not, is a cornerstone after which India will say anyone but Modi.
और मैं देश के सभी नागरिकों को आश्वस्त करना चाहता हूं कि जिस प्रकार से प्रयास चल रहे हैं, निकट भविष्य में शांति का सूरज जरूर उगेगा.
Well, that was much awaited, response from Prime Minister Modi on the no confidence motion that was moved against the government. Let's now shift focus to Virgin Galactic then. It flew its second commercial space flight carrying its first private paying tourists called Galactic 02. The flight launched from Spaceport America in New Mexico. The 3 customers on board Galactic 02 were British former Olympian John Goodwin and 2 passengers from the Caribbean, Keisha Schaff and Anastasia Mayers, who won seats through a charity fundraiser. Tickets were sold at a price between $200,000 and $250,000 a decade ago. But the company reopened ticket sales 2 years ago with pricing beginning at $450,000. Now, moving on to all that is breaking the internet. As an employee, you must have received your salary, some benefits, or well, some team parties maybe. But has your employer ever booked movie tickets for you? Yes, California-based company Freshworks booked 2,200 tickets for Rajinikanth's jailer. Now, CEO Girish Matrubhootam shared a tweet in which he said that 2,200 tickets, 7 screens, Freshworks employees only. Thalaiva Rajinikanth jailer movie was released in theatres yesterday. Fans are gaga over the release. The film's box office collection for day 1 stood at 44 crores in India across all languages. Well, that was all about what's trending at the current juncture. But what should you be watching out for today? Well, from the earnings pack, you have Apollo Hospitals and ONGC. These are nifty companies. They will be reporting their earnings today. And from the broader markets, we will be watching out for earnings from the likes of Nykaa, Voltas, HAL. Also, remember, ITC AGM will be taking place today. And of course, lots will be discussed, including the demerger of the hotels business. We'll have to watch out for cues coming out of the AGM. Aside of that, in US data to watch, additional US data to watch, we will be awaiting the US Producer Price Index data that will be released later today. But with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Newspresso. So hope this dose of Newspresso was useful and informative and gives you a kickstart to the day ahead. Don't forget to come back tomorrow, same place, same time for your fresh shot of Newspresso. So it's a good buy from me. Thanks a lot for watching. But don't go anywhere because coming up next is Morning Trade at 8:30 a.m.